Right, so that's lunch done. We're now going to head towards Walsall. And I could walk to where the X51 goes, but seeing as I've got an all-day bus pass, let's go catch a bus about 3 stops. So we're just going to catch the 87 that will take us from here just over to the back of Selfridges, where we can pick up the X51. As I say, it's a 10-minute walk, but let's catch the bus. It's due in a couple of minutes.
A few moments later.
Right, are you getting on this one then, yeah? Yeah, cool. All right, mate. I think we're literally like 2 stops.
Yeah.
Really, I could have walked it, but I'm just like... Hey, mate. Cheers, thank you. Well, that's a first, and I'm glad I caught that 87 now, over to here at Priory, Queensway. The reason for it is, as I'm standing at the bus stop, a fan approached me, Northampton bus enthusiast, so hello. He rode the bus down with me to here, a couple of stops. Seems like a really nice chap, so yeah, it was great to run into you. And yeah, I think that's the first time I've been approached by anyone, so yeah, it was a nice feeling. Cheers, mate. So yeah, and he told me he's embarking at the moment on some crazy challenges because as of today, travel on buses is free for under 16s. So yeah, go and make the most of that. If you want to follow him on TikTok, I'll put his details in the description below, and I'm sure I'll put a little link here as well. But yeah, amazing. Let's go catch this X51. Should be one in 5 minutes. There's one here, but I think that's a longer route. Looks like this might be a busy bus. As I alluded to in my last video, I've been trialling out a new piece of software or a new app to help me with my bus journeys. The idea behind it is it's going to save me time when I'm coming to do the route animations to include in the videos. Currently, what I have to do to make up the route animations is I have to retrace my steps using a combination of bus companies' timetables, Google Maps, and my own really bad memory, and then plot it onto an app like Travel Boast or directly onto Google Maps and make a video that way. That's obviously quite time consuming, and it also means I'm looking for loads of information, like what was the distance of the route, because it doesn't always tell you. And also as well, if we've done things like a diversion, well, I need to try and remember where I went. And that is where this new app, Lockmore, comes in. Full disclosure, because I want to be completely transparent, no money has changed hands. However, the developer, great person that he is, has gifted me a premium subscription. But there's no requirement for me to run what I'm going to say by him. So if the app sucks, then absolutely I will say it sucks. But the good news is it doesn't suck. In fact, the app is pretty good. I've managed to cut down the amount of time that I'm doing for route animations on all my videos. And as you can imagine, as someone who doesn't do YouTube full time, who's doing it just as a weekend hobby, cutting down that time is really, really important to me. It's really simple. I literally hit start tracking at the beginning of my travels and then stop at the end. The GPS takes readings every 15 seconds, and then at the end I can set up journeys which go in the timeline where I can look at where I've been over the full journey. And on each of them I can generate a video, an image, export the data and see stats for that journey or the whole week, month or year. The best bit is that this is not cloud-based, so all the data is stored here in your phone. So if you want to give it a go, click up here on this QR code for the Android version, or click here for the iOS version, or just type in Lockmore, that's LOCHMORE.com into your browser. After the thrill of being spotted in the street, it was straight back down to earth and on board the rather busy X51, an 11-year-old ADL Enviro 400 named Keelanne. This bus wears the Platinum branding, but unlike the number 3 and X1 I took earlier today, this did not live up to that Platinum name, with rather uncomfortable seating which had very little give.
Getting on board today took a little while due to the crowds of people having to tap in and some confusion around one person's ticket, but once up the stairs there was slim pickings on the seats available, so I slinked off down the back for a left-hand sided seat. Our route is just under 10 miles and will take us approximately 30 minutes to complete. Heading out of the city, we quickly join the multicoloured tunnels and flyovers of the A34, which cut through communities in the 60s, past Perry, Aston and Wolverhampton University campuses, before arriving just outside St David's bus station in Walsall. The X51 is a limited stop version of the 51, which in itself is a much quicker route than the 936, all of which run between Birmingham and Walsall. On this route we benefit from a number of stretches of bus prioritisation lanes, which means that for an urban bus we actually do get some decent 30mph plus running. But this, as they say, is just the start of things to come. Or possibly not. You see, in 2014 it was announced that a new BRT, that's Bus Rapid Transit system called Sprint, would be introduced, and this was supposed to be the first route being in place before the Commonwealth Games in 2022, because the Athletes Village was at Perry. Infrastructure upgrades and new articulated multi-door bus trams were promised. Now, if you're paying attention, you may note that 2026, which is where we are now, comes after 2022, and the bus that I'm sitting on is most definitely not bendy, nor does it have multiple doors. In fact, had it had multiple doors, maybe it would have been quicker to load in the city centre. And that's because 4 years after the proposed introduction, we do still not have Sprint. I don't believe any of the bendy buses have yet been ordered, and there definitely is none in service. And whilst if you squint you'll see better bus stops and a reduction of journey times quoted at 22%, this certainly isn't a premium BRT scheme that we have here. It's estimated that 12% of people commuting from Walsall to Birmingham use the bus, whilst train captures less than 2%, and this surprised me somewhat as both Birmingham and Walsall have a direct train connection and trains as frequent as the bus. But when you factor in time, the fact the train only goes from the centre, and probably most importantly the cost, it does make more sense. If you're working a full-time job and need to be in the office for 9 AM, the maximum you're going to pay on the bus is £5.50 because you'll hit the daily cap. However, on the train it's £8.90 to get an N-Network day tripper. However, this does also give you unlimited bus and tram travel as well as the train travel within the West Midlands area, so if you have to catch a bus either side, it probably works out quite a decent deal. We're well and truly into what I'd class as the suburbs now. We've swapped our brutalist tower blocks and Victorian terraces for pre and post-war semi-detached family homes, leafy green spaces and a whacking big motorway. But we're soon into affluent neighbourhoods, and it's here that the X51 starts to increase the number of stops that it makes and becomes a little less express. Now, keep an eye on this guy running here. I was wondering what it was for, but we see him appear very shortly. This guy ought to be our entry into the next Olympics with that well-timed little sprint he's done there. We're almost at the end of the X51 now, approaching Walsall bus station. Walsall is the town that was previously in Staffordshire but got gobbled up in the West Midlands in the 70s. With between 60 to 70,000 residents, it's about the size of Loughborough and has brought us some gems such as DJ Alex Lester of the Best Time of the Day show, Audrey Roberts from Corrie, and of course Noddy Holder, who loves to remind us, "It's Christmas!" Alighting from the bus is just as bad as boarding it was. Now, if only this route had some of those articulated, multi-doored buses that we were promised.
Thank you. Well, that was a very warm X51 that's took us all the way to here in Walsall. We're now going to go behind into the St Paul's bus station and catch a bus to Wolverhampton. Whew. So that's fourth bus done. We've only paid £5.50 still, and we've got 2 more buses to go, I think. Can you guess where I'm going to end up? Hopefully it's at the most westerly bus stop. We'll see. Now, everyone always says about the boss man. I found him. Here's his convenience store. The Boss Man convenience store. Perfect. Right. Let's go. We've got to find stand G, I believe. This is quite a large. I quite like this roof. That's a lot bigger than you think it would be.
As I tried to find the bay for my next bus, I actually thought that this bus station had a nice airy feel to it, with that lovely large roof and what seemed like a new paint job. But I understand from reading online that this is definitely not a bus station that the drivers like, with it being called cramped and dangerous, and a number of calls for it to be demolished. I understand as well that there's actually been a number of high profile, quite tragic accidents happening over the years. Not good. After 2 diesel buses, we're back to an electric bus, and this is the newest of today's travels. Being less than a year old, this is a Wright StreetDeck Electroliner. Climbing upstairs, and it's pleasing to see that this seems to have the similar type or the same type of seats as those on my first 2 journeys. Comfortable, and the legroom on the road just behind the stairwell that I sit at is absolutely massive. As we slowly depart the bus station, I note that on our right is one of National Express West Midlands' oldest buses in the fleet, a 2004 ALX 400, still working regular services. I think there's only 2 of these models left in their fleet, so probably one that bus enthusiasts like to see. It's 22 years old. That's some good going, that is. We're going to be on this bus heading in a westerly direction for just over 30 minutes today, covering a rather paltry 7 miles. This is certainly not an express. From one W to another though, we will be taking this from Walsall to Wolverhampton, one of the Millennium Cities, which means basically it's only been a city for 26 years after gaining its status in 2000. It's also home to the UK's very first automated traffic light and the home of lug radio, if anyone remembers that. As is typical if you've ever ridden an Electroliner before, it does feel very smooth. It has lovely big bright and clear neck stop displays, which is very helpful to those passengers who are hard of hearing or just want to know what the upcoming stops are. My only issue with the Electroliners is that their fans always seem to run really loud. And their fans are just that, they're not AC but fans, so a lot of noise and very little cooling, sadly. We know we're leaving Walsall as we cross over the M6 for the second time in today's journey. We then head down the Black Country route and head out towards Willenhall. The 529 that I'm on today was probably throughout its full journey the least loaded bus that I've been on today, although we do start to pick up some extra people as we head towards Wolverhampton, as the local kick a leather ball into a net game is on in a few hours. The 529 is the spiritual successor to the West Midlands 29 trolleybus that ceased operation in 1965. It is now the de facto quick bus between Walsall and Wolverhampton, although in the 80s the time-saver Route 966 used to be faster. And originally there was a 5Ws tramline planned that would link Wolverhampton, Wednesfield, Willenhall, Walsall and Wednesbury that would likely have replaced or reduced the service on the 529, but that's all theoretical because that was canned in 2015. The journey into Wolverhampton is pretty similar to the rest of our travels today, with mainly urban scenery dominating our views out the window. In particular, there is residential housing mixed with industry, wide open dual carriageways, and for a Saturday a surprisingly low amount of traffic hold-ups. Whether this is due to football being on, the heat driving people into the local pub garden, or just because the West Midlands has a good amount of bus prioritisation, I'm not too sure. But I can say that we've not had any huge delays today, and that's not even foreshadowing for later, honest. Did you know that this big blue factory here is likely where the batter, curry sauce and chicken coating that your local chip shop uses comes from? As we head under the West Coast Main Line, we're just one stop away as advised by the onboard announcements.
Next stop, Wolverhampton bus station.
But before we get to that last stop, we do have to circle around the rather striking bridge that brings the Midland Metro tram system into Wolverhampton. This line only opened in 2023, and although there is more to come, it's as complete as it probably ever will be. Wolverhampton bus station was built in the early 2010s and features 19 bus stands arranged in 3 long strips with covered waiting areas between. Now that we're a little bit further out of Birmingham and National Express's chokehold, we're starting to see some other operators, with buses from the bigger players like Arriva and Diamond, along with some more local bus companies such as Chase Rider, Let's Go, and the hilariously named Bang a Bus. Or is it Bang a Bus? Anyway, let's get off.
Okay, so that's the 529 from Walsall to Wolverhampton done. We're now going to catch this, the number 10, which is going to take us to Perton. In the week we could take the 10A, which takes us to Pattingham, but that does not run on a Saturday. So let's get this, the number 10 to Perton. That was a lovely bus, by the way. The one we were just on had much better seats than the 87 and the X51, which had a bit quite hard seats. That one had the similar ones to the one we had on the Coventry X1 and the number 3 earlier. So yeah, let's go ride this, the number 10 single decker, first single deck of the day, to Perton. I can't tell if this is the delayed 1:30 or the early on the hour one, but yeah, he's just opened the door, so let's jump on now. Hello mate, cheers.
As we depart Wolverhampton bus station on the number 10, I just want to address something before you all get your knickers in a twist. Yes, I know that Perton is not the furthest I can get to westwards on a Saturday. There is of course Enviro, but don't worry, I'm not stopping at Perton. There's some YouTube magic when we get there. However, this does bring me on to something I picked up in a previous video, and I'll continue it now. The TfWM maps and how poor they are at helping you find out whether a stop is or isn't allowed. If we pull up the full travel area map, we can see Pattingham, Perton and Enviro are all listed as in zone. However, oddly, it doesn't appear to be geographically correct, as it shows Enviro as not sticking out as west as it actually does. But anyway, if we look at the local travel maps, we can see the one covering Enviro. It shows that the N bus pass, shown by the light yellow shading, is valid up to Enviro. Yet on the map covering Perton and Pattingham, it shows that the N bus is only valid to Perton. Yet I've had confirmation from TfWM that it can be used to Pattingham on the 10A. All very confusing. Route 10 is not a route that you would write home about, but it is incredibly functional and it does its job, and today it's actually very well loaded throughout the full route. Incidentally, this route goes from Wolverhampton to Compton and then to Perton. In the week it runs as the 10A, and after stopping in Perton it calls at Pattingham. We'll be getting off a few stops before the termination point, as the most westerly stop isn't the terminus. Today's bus is a Wright Eclipse 2, and it's our first single deck bus of the day. It's a few years old now, being registered in 2011, but inside the bus appears to have been fairly well taken care of, and these seats aren't actually too bad, although I don't think I'd want to last more than 45 minutes on them. There is no USB power, no next stop announcements, and no fancy mood lighting. This is a bog standard bus serving a bog standard route. We're soon back out in what feels like a more rural setting, and the coolest bit of this journey? Well, when we take to our own private single track bus lane that appears to just whoosh through the trees. away now. I think this is about a half an hour bus in total. Yeah, not far from the end point.
Cheers, mate.
This is the last bus stop I can get to on a Saturday, and it's very pink and purple, isn't it? Hannah would approve. Here we are in Perton, specifically Leesdale Road bus stop in Perton, the most westerly bus stop on the Route 10, which I just caught from Wolverhampton. Now, I will say, as bus stops go, the furthest east and west in London, very, very boring. The furthest east in TfWM land was very boring. But this one is actually quite a cool bus stop, isn't it? But this isn't the most westerly point I can get to generally on the TfWM network. There is actually a bus stop further at Pattingham, and by the power in editing, 1, 2, 3, here we are at Pattingham. This is the furthest west bus stop you can get to using the N bus pass any time of the week. No questions asked, I believe. If you think I'm wrong, drop a comment down below. But I think this is the furthest I can get to. So we've gone from the most easterly stop over in Warwickshire, through Coventry, through Birmingham, through Walsall, through Wolverhampton, all the way over to here in Pattingham. And I'm going to leave you now in Staffordshire at the most westerly bus stop in the Transport for West Midlands network. From Pattingham, see you on the next video. What I'm going to do now, though, is nip behind there to the pub, have a drink.
And whilst in the Black Country, it would be rude to not try their local delicacy, hot pork scratchings.
I don't think I've ever had pork scratchings warm. They're nice.
Thanks for watching today's video. If you want to watch something that YouTube's AI overlords thinks you'll like, click up the top. Otherwise, click down the bottom for the playlist.